and focusing on some of the insights about policies really at the national and international level. I'm going to talk about three main content points. The first is the importance of doing research to actually diagnose challenges and opportunities at the national level. The same really applies to other levels of policymaking. The second is to consider intersectoral aspects of policymaking. In other words, linked to other aspects like tourism and education. There are periodic reporting analyses of how implementation of the 2003 Convention on Intangible Heritage is being done in different countries that are state parties to the convention. And this is interesting because you can look at the craft policies in relation to some of the other policies on, let's say, traditional performing arts and traditional knowledge associated with food and foodways. So it is quite a useful resource when one's considering handicraft in relation to policy. The second main resource is the thematic initiative on economic dimensions of intangible cultural heritage safeguarding. And then finally, the World Intellectual Property Organization also have some resources for cultural heritage entrepreneurs. The reason why UNESCO got interested in this question is partly because of the sustainable development focus, thinking about how to focus on addressing issues such as decontextualization and over-commercialization in the economic context. And this resulted in a much broader discussion on how do you integrate economic dimensions in heritage safeguarding planning, not just considering how to deal with the negative aspects of economic intervention or economic use of ICH, but a broader approach. The guidance note says that economic dimensions of ICH safeguarding plans should be integrated into broader safeguarding, that there should be collaboration and partnerships that are led by communities concerned, this question of policies and actions by state parties and intergovernmental organizations. One of the crucial outcomes is really this question of the importance of monitoring and evaluation mechanisms, research, in other words, evidence-based policy. Finally, this question of how do state parties and other stakeholders support communities to develop mitigation actions. It's very clear that policy interventions can actually assist in ICH practice and transmission promotion and safeguarding. This example from Austria relating to traditional craftsmanship, where they looked at the very specific problems that traditional craftspeople were facing, and then they made various policy recommendations. And one of them was improving the public image of traditional craft as a vocation. Another one was supporting skills transmission, and then amendments to the taxation and regulation of small craft-related businesses. And all of these are policy interventions that then would specifically assist the traditional crafts in Austria. Cyprus has also done some interesting work that links research and support for traditional craft people. The Cyprus Handicraft Service has actually done quite a bit of research and then assisted artisans in promoting their work. Another effort that Cyprus has done is to use this idea of a manufacturing standard to help protect local lace makers from factory-made imports that are sold as Lefkara lace, whereas they're not in fact made in Lefkara. And this again links to some of the sort of more protective mechanisms, not in this case an IP mechanism, but that can be supported by state policy. We do have a couple of examples from the Arab States periodic report and also particularly from Qatar that put tourism as part of its development planning and then used the tourism strategy to help restore a marketplace at one of the souks as part of a tourist initiative that then help to promote local craft organizations. There's also obviously NGO support, and an example from Georgia of the Georgian Heritage Crafts Association that really provides a sort of common platform for branding and marketing for craft people in Georgia and advocates for their interests at the national level. So just to summarize then, safeguarding actions really have to be driven at a community level, and benefit has to be driven at a community level. So it's very important to not see policy recognition at the national level as implying that all benefits should be tailored to a national benefit and not specifically to communities or practitioners. Handicraft training can support transmission of ICH as long as craft practitioners are involved. And it's really important to use national level policies to promote engagement between heritage entrepreneurs or craft people. It's really important to have joined up support. So marketing platforms, IP support, and kind of reputational promotion. It's very important that all of that gets joined up together and tailored to local needs. And origin requirements for products, things like standards and protocols can be very beneficial for protecting reputation, but such strategies need to be sensitive to community needs and wishes.